Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to F1 2020, my team career mode. Here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. A relatively strong track for me, in my opinion. Jumping straight into Q2 here. I don't believe, Q1 sorry, we don't believe we had any upgrades coming in for this race. So we actually get through quite easily in Q1. I think we came P7, Jack Aitken lines up in P18 I believe. And coming out the end of Q2, we're only doing one run in Q2 to try and save a set of tyres because my overall confidence is quite high for this track. As I said, it's a good track for myself, and I feel like this car, especially with the Mercedes powered engines, we come across the line in Q2 to do a 1:39.212, which puts us actually in P6, not P16. That would have been a bit embarrassing if it was actually P16. But yes, this car seems to be quite good for this track, especially with the Mercedes power unit. As you can see from this, the results there, the Ferrari, this is pre-Ferrari powered nerf, as the Ferraris are still 1 and 3 above Mercedes. I think next episode in Canada, or the one after that, is when I updated the game. As these episodes are quite old in terms of their when they were recorded, at least when I did the race. Anyway, we're here in Q3 now, and we're trying to settle out to get as close to say the top 5 as possible. I'm usually aiming for around P7. I think my overall target for the season is maybe at the P6 or P5 in the constructors, and between P7 and P10 in the drivers, like sort of best of the rest territory. And currently our car at the moment is 4th worst, I think, as Charles Leclerc says, fast up for 1:37.8. So yeah, I'm sort of aiming to be around that, especially this track, as it is quite a strong one for me. Go through the castle section, get very close to the walls, utilising all space. We do run quite wide on exit, excuse me, but we managed to keep the lap. I have a very croaky voice today, I do apologise. We have a massive snap of oversteer going through the fast left-handers, breaking downhill into the esports curb, as I like to call it. Everyone usually flies over that. I don't really like flying over it, just because I don't trust myself not to plant it in the barrier, although it does gain you a ridiculous amount of time. Anyway, so going through the final 2 corners in inverted commas here. They're not really corners, they're flat out, and we're just going to head up towards the line, full throttle, and see where we come. Currently Verstappen is on a 1:38.4, and we come across the line to do a 1:38.584, and that puts us P7 as the standings update themselves. So basically exactly where we wanted to be, ahead of Racing Point, which was quite nice, especially given this is quite a heavy power track. And Daniel Ricciardo, the sole Renault that got into Q3. Well, that's my apologies for that. Gonna head into the race now. I'm not going to talk over the rest of this intro.
Start is just about as likely to give you a podium as a pole position would. And remember, in 2017 and 2018, both Lance Stroll and then Sergio Perez took surprise podiums here. The Baku City Circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers and is made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequences for all of our drivers. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are 3 main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
Before we begin, Let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of it, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Alexander Albon, Red, Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, and Esteban Ocon, Giovinazzi, Fiat, Pierre Gasly, and Sainz, Norris, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen, and Jack Aitken, Grosjean, Magnussen, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So I've just finished dying from that lovely cough. It's not the Rona, don't worry. Typical strategy, whatever you want to call it, for this race is a one-stop. Quite high tyre degradation around here. Tyre temperature isn't really a main thing. Rear tyre wear is. So I am debating potentially doing the two-stop. And I think I do pre-select the two-stop. We're going with a lap out extra fuel, mainly because of the big long straight. Soft medium is the strat, but as far as that's the way we go, we could potentially change that to a one-stop depending on whereabouts we are. Because we've got a pretty decent launch. Albon gets caught up behind Hamilton there. And we go at the inside of Albon, we get sort of boxed in there, but no contact was made. Can we get the inside of Hamilton to turn 2? Managed to get the inside of Hamilton. So we've already gained 2 positions. We have a massive snap of overstay on the exit of turn 2. And now we're going to deploy all of our ERS. Our tyres are already on 16% on the right rear. And all we've done is one qualifying lap and a couple of slow in laps. So Hamilton dives down the inside of turn 3. Very bold move for him, and we're still side by side going to turn 4, but we're going to have the inside line, and we're going to give him a big squeeze on the exit. It wasn't that big of a squeeze. We had nowhere to go, so we're going to hold on to that track position. And that Batten's already managed to give Vettel a 2.5 second lead over us. I don't expect to be fighting these guys, but it is quite nice too, so we're going to try and keep hold of what we have. As you can see, going on to lap 3, the tyres were degrading massively at this point. Just checking, I don't know why I was checking where Hamilton was. He's obviously behind me and very close, and now he's past me. As we come across the line, I decided not to fight that with ERS as a tactical manoeuvre, because I'm very good through turns 1 and 2, and so we're going to use that prowess there to get a good exit out of turn 2. Hamilton actually gets a better exit, probably the AI with their little traction control OP button. Moving through from there, but we're going to go down this side. No, we're going to switch to the outside using all of our overtake and DRS. Hamilton gets a pretty poor mid-corner run there, and that screws up his exit a little bit. He was actually ahead of us and could have quite easily cut us off, but I don't know whether he rotated wide or just couldn't get the power down enough. But we managed to get past him, which is always nice to see there. We're selecting the one-stop. It's an interesting strategy, whether you want to do the two-stop as the one-stop as we're coming into the pits now. I could do the two-stop, go into softs and then go to mediums again, but I feel like it's not really worth it, and I'm currently fighting these guys and actually have the pace to stay with the top 5 and get a good haul of points. So we're going to stick on their strategy. We're not going to try and do anything fancy. If I was, down proper midfield out of the points, I'd try and do something fancy, but I'm not, so we're going to do that. Pretty good stop from the boys there. We come out in position 20, and there's a massive train of cars up ahead of us. I feel like going on to the hards as well as Hamilton pits a couple of laps later, and we managed to jump him, not by much though. Again, stuck behind Latifi, Magnussen, Norris and Russell. The mediums, I don't think we'd get the best use out of the softs. If we go to softs, we'd have to pit. We go right around the outside of Latifi there, nearly plowing to the back of Magnussen, who went around the outside of Norris. So this is a good little scrap here for the minor placings before the top 10. But yeah, with the softs, they'd be dying off at this point. I just feel they'd be a pretty worthless tyre. Like it'd just be a pit stop them throwing away because of the traffic. As you can see, Norris is on the hard tyres. He's been on those since lap 1. We're going to go around that side even before we get to the DRS. And as you can see, Jeff is, for some reason, despite selecting the alternate strategy, is telling me to come into the pits and put on a set of soft compound tyres. be fair enough to him, I'm not going to listen to him, as Albon pits, and currently as we've gone to top 10, some pit stops are being made. We're still in P12, but there's still quite a lot of drivers. As Albon breaks really early there, getting concertinaed up behind Aitken, Russell and Magnussen, and we actually take the opportunity to go up the inside of him. It's a pretty bold move, as Albon tries to fight back at us going around the outside into turns 5 and 6, I think. But we managed to hold true there and keep, get ahead of him into P11. This was a pretty good little battle there, and a very good move as we're going through the final 2 corners. We actually tapped the wall a bit there. We are running simulation damage, but fortunately we don't concede any damage there, so we're just going to fly past Magnussen at this point. Topping out at 230 miles per hour. It's pretty ridiculous as Russell's going around the outside of Aitken. Disappointed that Jack couldn't really hold that off. He's in a much faster car than Russell in the Williams. But anyway, we didn't do much, couldn't do much to attack Jack there. Kind of wanted to save ERS, and we're just going to blitz past him here. Maybe he wasn't running ERS and just accepted that we were going to get past him. Our engine's getting really hot at this point. It's getting close to 135 degrees, I think. So we're going to have to calm that down a little bit, as we've got a yellow flag at the start of Sector 3, I believe it's one of the Alfa Romeos. It might be Kimi Räikkönen as Russell comes into pits. We're going to have a bit of slipstream off of him as he pulls in. And yes, it is Kimi Räikkönen who's out of the session. Looks like a mechanical failure, and I don't think that's going to bring out a safety car. Which if it did, we would have probably pitted for mediums. As you can see, on lap 13 now, Albon is he's coming past us here. We're giving him the big squeeze. I'm not applying any overtake again. We're going to use the same tactic as we did to Hamilton earlier. He gets caught up on the curb a little bit there. That curb's quite aggressive if you ride it a little bit too much. So we go around the outside, and we're still side by side going to turn 2. We go around the outside again, and Albon actually spins. There was some contact there, so we're going to have a quick look at the replay now, see what actually happened there. So see on board from Albon, we run really wide, nearly hit into the wall ourselves, and Albon goes back up the inside here, and he mounts the curb, and he just sort of does a Bottas and just drives straight into us, really. So I'm slowing it down here to see. I think I believe I gave him enough space, but he could have turned a lot more there. Like, there was a lot more steering lock he could have applied there, or he could have just waited. You know, I don't know whether he's racing the same track as I am, but I'm pretty sure there's a DRS zone straight after this track. In fact, I know there is a DRS zone straight after this corner, rather. As you can see, that I gave him plenty of room, so that's Albon's mistake of his own doing. Now he's stranded like Austin Powers in that hallway, pretty much. So we're going to leave him to it, but I don't think I was to blame there. Obviously you can be the judge of that in the comments below. I left him enough room, he couldn't have turned as much, and he could have just waited. As you can see, there's still a yellow flag, and now the virtual safety car's been deployed, so we're going to actually have to see what's gone on there, because there's been some more shenanigans going on, from what I can tell at least. So we're going to have a quick gander at what's gone on. So Albon's still there, he's blocking the... See, I don't really know what to say. I think that, is this Latifi or Russell? He's just getting 2 positions out of this. Albon's twerking his wheel for no obvious reason. He's not even moving, he's just sat there, like turning his steering wheel left and right. As we cut on a little bit further, Albon ghosted. One of the racing points went through, the McLaren ghosted. So it's all kicking off back there. That should have really been a red flag. As we've got into lap 15, Esteban Ocon has pitted. Ocon, whichever one. So he's going to be on the soft tyres. He's going to be quite a big threat. As Ocon's at 17, Hamilton's been reeling us in quite heavily, as our tyres have been starting to die off a little bit. And he goes right at the inside, in the middle of sector 2 there. I didn't really fight that too much. I was kind of hoping we could tag on to the back of him where we set our personal best lap time of 1:42.9. Yeah, I was kind of hoping we could tag on to the back of him and maybe, you know, get a bit higher up, as I think his Fiat pitted, so that promotes us up into P5. But now Hamilton's going to get away, as we get absolute shocking run through turn 2, and Ocon's coming up the inside here. Again, I decided not to fire this. He is on the medium compound tyres. I'm just going to try and stick with him and hope I can get DRS with Sector 3. Maybe you can drag this closer to Hamilton, who knows. But unfortunately, Ocon got away. Hamilton did 2. Hamilton's pulled 12 seconds over fuel. So our tyres are at 65% on the right rear. This is the last lap of the Grand Prix. We're coming across the line now to pick up P6. I'm incredibly happy with that result there.
Team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. So, let's review the driver's standings. This result narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. Now, let's discuss, Ant, who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
That's got to be the Flying Finn. Wait, Flying Finn that we had now? Anyway, I'm talking about Bottas this time. Just great raw speed and a good job in traffic as well.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
So P6 started P6, finished P6, pretty decent. You see the fight for the championship lead there, 133 for both Mercedes drivers, and I think it's Vettel on 128. That result actually jumped us up in the standings in terms of my team quite high up. I see Jack Aitken finishing in P17. Max Verstappen having an absolute torrid race there down in P21. He stopped 3 times, so I think he must have had some issues and maybe a bit of coming together. But as you see, pretty decent race. You know, doing the 1 stop worked out. The 2 stop wouldn't have worked, I don't think. Given the traffic and the track position, it didn't work out for Ricardo, and it certainly wouldn't have worked for us. Ocon having a great race, going from P5 to P10. But yeah, I really couldn't ask for more. Held on to position, which is the main importance. I was surprised to get P6 in Saturday because of the AI qualifying being more powerful. Like, their pace is a lot better during qualifying, is what I'm trying to say, than the race. But yeah, I'm happy to get P6. We're getting a big influx of cash. We're beating Giovinazzi in the rivalry. We have just got past Team McLaren level 8. So we're going to be getting some new sponsors in hopefully a couple of races time. And we're now just going to select some activities, maybe do some upgrades. Going to do a roll damper upgrade, which should hopefully benefit the tyre wear. We've only got 1 activity to choose from. And I might do the weight training. Yes, we're going to do the weight training upgrade, which is going to increase Jack's pace a little bit. So he gets +1 pace for that. Unfortunately, the monocoque structure for the chassis doesn't get applied in time for the Canadian Grand Prix, so we're going to have to fix that, upgrade and get it on maybe for the French Grand Prix or the Austrian Grand Prix, whichever one. But yeah, that was the race. Very happy with that, especially at this track. It can be a bit difficult for the player sometimes, despite me being one of my better tracks. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for the next race, the Canadian Grand Prix, very soon.